Okay, welcome back to the Art of Africa. Today we're going to be focusing on African ceramics. And our presenter is Alex Awuku. He's another Ghanaian. We've had all presentations from Ghanaians. He's a Ghanaian contemporary ceramist and mixed media artist whose work bridges tradition and technology. He's currently an MFA candidate in ceramics at the University of Florida. He explores the alienation of Ghanaian oral storytelling, particularly the Kwaku Anansi narratives in the digital age, by combining clay, jute, rope, wood, digital debris, and found objects. He reimagines lost oral traditions into textured archives that speak to identity, memory, and resilience. Originally from Volta, Ghana, Awuku holds a BA in industrial art from ceramics from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and a diploma in education from Winneba. His works have been exhibited internationally and featured in academic publications. Alex, go ahead.
Thank you very much. And I welcome everyone this afternoon. And I'm highly honored to give this presentation on. I'm highly honored. And thanks everyone for coming. As I'm being introduced already as Awuku Alex. Awuku Alex. I'll be doing the presentation on African ceramics today. Awuku Alex is a village boy from Ghana, western Volta region, but I live in the western part of Ghana with my family, my parents. We do farming as usual, and also cocoa farming and other crop farming. This is my dad, like the family in the farm working. Awuku Alex, after having my BFA in ceramics, I opened the rural ceramic industry for the community, where we make these earthenware bowls for the market and also for food. The picture is some resource persons who comes to the shop to give education to the workers. The other side is the workers I have who works at the place. And this is Awuku Alex. My time in Ghana and at my studio space where I used to build these stuffs. And with the bigger stuffs, I make this small firewood kiln for it to fire. And these are the making process we use locally. We make the earthenware bowls, dry them, and the last one is the packing state of them in the kiln. This is the firing. This is how we do our local firing at my shop, my rural shop. We do firewood firing, and this is how our oven is being built with bricks, and that is one of the workers firing, and that's the end produce of earthenware bowls that we produce for the market. First, these are some community demonstrations that I do when there are international visitors in the community or society. They used to visit my workshop for demonstration and also some talk on what we do as ceramics. And this is the Indian High Commissioner when he came to our village. He paid a courtesy visit to the place with the chiefs to visit, to look at what we do. Okay, fast forward, we are looking at history of African ceramics. The past is about Alex. By today, African ceramic has long been more than a utilitarian craft. It is a language of culture, spirituality, and identity. Across generations, clay has been a vessel of memory, shaping the rhythm of everyday life, ritual, and storytelling. In pre-colonial Africa, ceramic traditions carry symbolic meanings of clay. Comes in as pot of birth, marriage, and death, often inscribed with the aesthetics of community life. Clay as a living earth material recorded human presence through touch, echoing the connection between maker, material, and story. During colonial encounters, these traditions were disrupted and defined. The introduction of Western education and industrial materials alienated indigenous practices, often relegating African ceramics to ethnographic display rather than living art. The picture you see is the early stage or how prehistoric ceramic was used to make just for ritual purposes and to satisfy everyday lives. These pieces are original traditional pieces, ceramic pieces made in Africa. We have the Southern African pot, which is the first in the picture, in the diagram, right? And we have the Eastern pot in the left. The Southern pot was meant for beer brewing, water storage, and ancestral ritual worships or ancestral rituals, often made by women. The Eastern one is also built with coils with functional forms tied to pastoral or agricultural life. We have the North African type of pot making, which was influenced by Islamic futures, by glazing with geometric ornamentation. And we have the West African type of pot. The West African type of pot, which is also burnished red or blackened pots, often decorated with incision or impressed patterns. African art or African ceramic has been in existence by the help of our mothers, our great-great-grandparents, which are our mothers. Our mothers used to hold this clay through time based on the custodians, them being the custodians of knowledge of these pots. Across Africa, pottery has traditionally been women's work, passed from mother to daughter through observation and apprenticeship. Women maintain local style, techniques, and rituals, ensuring cultural continuity over generations. It was also a community and domestic role. Ceramic made by women serve essential daily and spiritual functions: cooking, water storage, healing, and ceremonies. It was also used for adaptation and innovation. Women potters adapted to new materials, tools, and markets while retaining traditional methods like coiling, burnishing, and open firing. Oral transmission of knowledge. Without written manuals, women preserve ceramics through storytelling, songs, and embodied teaching, linking the craft to language, memory, and identity. Resistance during colonialism. During colonial period, when imported wares and factory ceramics flooded markets, women continued handcrafting pots for continuity use. This persistence became a quiet form of cultural resistance, safeguarding indigenous knowledge and aesthetics of African ceramics. Cultural and spiritual significance. In many traditions, in many traditions, the female potter symbolizes fertility and creation. Her work seen as parallel to birth and the shape of life. This ceramic wasn't only meant for these purposes, but it was also meant as a way of community building. The process of making this also builds the community of women in Africa. The making process, where they all sit and make the process together, the packing process, the firing process, and also marketing of the ceramic pieces process. That I call this the turnaround. Ceramic was turned around in Africa, or especially West Africa, when Michael Cardew entered West Africa. Michael Cardew is a British studio potter whose work significantly influenced African ceramics, particularly in West Africa. Invited by the British colonial government in the 1940s, he established the Pottery Training Center in Abuja, Nigeria, aiming to merge traditional African pottery technique with European stoneware methods. Cardew trained several notable Nigerian potters, including Ladi Kweli, whose artistry gained international recognition. His approach encouraged technical refinement, kiln development, and cultural exchange. However, his legal remains complex. His legacy, remains complex. Celebrated for advancing ceramic education, yet critiqued for embedding colonial hierarchies within African craft traditions. Now, nonetheless, his impact endures in modern African ceramics. Sorry, the laptop and this is conflicting the two, sorry. His pottery, like I said, still endures in the African ceramics. When Cardew entered into West Africa, that is where the table changed for men to also get interest in pottery, because he introduced the potter's wheel to be used to throw objects. Because before he came, it was only the hand-making techniques which was used, quelling, slab, and other stuffs. But he introduced potter's wheel technique, which all the men get involved, which turned the table for men to also come on board to do ceramics. Continuity in the contemporary world by these ceramic artists. Madeleine Dondo in the post-colonial and contemporary era reclaimed clay as a medium of resistance, storytelling, and cultural continuity. She reinterprets traditional forms with contemporary gestures, exploring identity, gender, and post-colonial hybridity. Her work exemplifies how African ceramics continues to evolve, honoring tradition while addressing the complexities of modern existence. In the contemporary environment, African ceramics transcend functionality to become conceptual and narrative. Artists like Madoda Fanny from South Africa uses hand quill building surfaces and burnish forms to explore ancestry and spirituality. This is Madoda Fanny, whilst Frederick Ebenezer Okan also uses clay, also uses clay to talk about Ghanaian firing methods and symbolic motifs from Ghana. He is a teacher in Ghana or a lecturer in Ghana. He also attained his BA degree and master's at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. This is Kujo Jaku Kasi. Jaku Kasi is a Cameroonian ceramic artist celebrated for her innovative fusion of traditional African pottery with contemporary sculptural expressions. This is Zippo Pasua Ceramics, also from South Africa, whose monumental built sculptures celebrate African womanhood, heritage, and labor, drawing inspiration from the Huza rituals and hairstyles. This is Andili the Vine, who is also from Cape Town or East Cape, South Africa, who grew up in a farming area and is being inspired by his father's cattle, and he infused those narratives into his pieces. Oh, shit. We have Rantibam, a Nigerian ceramist who creates vessels that talks about feminism and also intimacy. This is Jabu Dali, who is also from South Africa, a contemporary African ceramist who also, her pieces talks about generational transition of the practice. This style is being accredited to her family from her great grandmother to her now. She was in the States, which I went for her workshop last summer at Provincetown in Massachusetts, but she's gone back to South Africa now. And we have Vincent Frimpong, who is a Ghanaian ceramist, but currently a professor in Illinois, also teaching ceramics. He also explores the intersection of tradition, materiality, and contemporary expressions. He won the Insika Award 2025. He was part of the winners. These artists shown are the artists who are transforming ceramics now in the contemporary era. They are still working out to bring what was taken off by our colonial masters into the contemporary scene. Now about myself, my practice. I make ceramics that had family that was embedded by family or has family as the concept. Whilst in Ghana, I built these pieces whilst in Ghana to talk about the importance of family, because growing up, I had the opportunity to benefit from my entire family because we used to live in a family compound. And I benefited a lot. And becoming a teacher too, I realized the students that I taught who had family around them had some things very easy than those who didn't have any family or people to care for them. So that inspired me to produced these pieces about family whilst I was in Ghana. And this pieces too was made also in Ghana, but this pieces was influenced by Reina Begum, who she uses these palm branches or baskets to create space and also shade. My coming to US and UF, these were my first pieces I made during my first year. And these pieces, I connected them to the family things that I used to have to talk about the importance of family, the need of being in an association or being in a group. And these were the pieces I made during my first year at the UF. Inherited hindrance, that's the hindrances we all come to inherit. There are some hindrances that when you are born, you come to meet, which you don't know anything about, but you just come to meet it. For instance, some mistakes of your parents or your grandparents or your society or your environment, you just come to inherit them. But that you don't know anything about. Like now, we are in a world that production and things are going at a speed. People are making nuclear bombs, people are making things, people are destroying our environment, which the children who will be coming don't know anything about. But they will just come in to inherit all these kind of hindrances in the community. And I made these pieces to talk about these things. Sankofa, which is we should go back to the old and pick some of the things that we used to do, which was good for the society or the environment. And I did the Watchmen also, which also talks about who is watching who is the watchman for who is watching who. Yeah, I did these pieces, which all these pieces talks about our society and community and how we can have a better place for each and everyone to survive. I made this one also, a Juma, which talks about labor. I made this putting the metals on the head to talk about how the human head works even more than you using metals and tools and other stuff to work. Because the human head thinks about anything that comes into existence. So that is where the work itself starts. So I made this piece to talk about how we work or we put our head to use every day. And I did the CS and also prestige. Fast forward, researching into the things that I was doing, I came across something that triggered me. I called home to ask my little girl or my baby girl about something that it was a common knowledge that we all used to have when we were kids. I asked a simple question that what will she do when she goes to school and someone wants to give her a lift? What will she do? And she said, oh, I will join the car and come home. And I realized, no, something is missing, because if someone is giving you a lift that you don't know, you are a baby, you can't join that car, that lift, or that ride. But we had the opportunity to receive this basic knowledge through stories, through Anansi stories and other stuffs that our parents used to tell us to guide us from the evil around the environment, or to guide us as we grow in wisdom and also experiences. So yeah. Okay, yeah. So my research, named Disconnected Threats, extends this dialogue by exploring how digital technology has alienated the oral storytelling traditions embedded embodied by Kwaku Anansi, the trickster figure in Ghana folklore. Through clay, jute rope, metal, wood, and found digital remnants, I create textured archive that reimagines how stories once told by word or mouth can preserve through tactile material forms. Clay becomes a metaphor for the early body of oral knowledge, while cables and computer parts symbolize the disconnected web of our digital communication, and also the web of Anansi that has lost its voice in the digital age. In this merging, I merge material and myth. I position ceramics as a contemporary story medium, capable of restoring intimacy, touch, and community within the digital void. The tactile surface, knots of rope, and embedded fragments act as physical interface, inviting audiences to reflect on how traditional narratives can find new life within the digital age. As Ursula K. Lee reminds us of the carrier bag theory fiction in 1986, storytelling began not with heroes, but with containers. With the art of holding and sharing, similarly, African ceramics, as both vessel and voice, continues to carry the remnants of our collective memory. Through disconnected threads, I aim to weave together what has been digitalized unavailed, giving Kwaku Anansi a new body on one shape, not in piso, but in clay, rope, and story. The reason why this came across, my daughter is having a tablet now, that all that she know is about the games we play, like the current games, 1+1, 2+2, ABCD songs and other stuffs. But in our time, we didn't have these tablets. We used to listen to stories gathered from experiences from the aged and also those who have lived through time. And these stories were stories that shaped how we think and how we relate to people and how we make decisions among ourselves. So my daughter having a tablet now, and I asked her this simple question, and the response she gave me led to me knowing and realizing that technology is taking away these stories. Digital technology is taking away these stories because everybody currently is now close to his phone more than we having a community to share these stories. So it is like our parents or our elders are dying with their experiences without leaving them behind. In our time, all these elderly people meet us to share these stories for us to also learn from their mistakes and the right things they did so that we can have a good continuity and a good environment to survive. And for me to work or bring this idea into life, these artists influenced me, Louise Bourgeois, who uses spider to communicate or to talk about her feelings, her concept or her ideas about how motherhood is, how her mother felt, what she saw from her mother's daily activities, her mother's feelings, and sexuality and vulnerability, and all these themes that revolved around her growing up as a woman. So she used the spider as a metaphor to talk about these stories. So this influenced me in my thinking and the kind of works that I make, relating it to the Kwaku Anansi. Thomas Saraceno also uses the remnants of spider, like the web, to also create arts that talks about science, ecology, and technology, how it connects us, the world, and how we think. Chiharu Sueta also uses the same web to create art pieces in a space to create what we memory and also absence. And these are the pieces I made about Kokwanansi, which I've named this Kokwanansi Series 1. Who is Kokwanansi? Kokwanansi is a character in Ghanaian folklore that is believed to be a character that lives in everybody's house. There is no environment that you will not see spider. Every house has a spider. And for that matter, it is believed that the human traits that we have, the human traits like anger, selfishness, greediness, enviness, there is not any home on this earth that you will not find these traits in. And the spider is a metaphor for that, because you can find a spider also in every home. So we use the spider as a character for these stories. So I made this work called Uwatwede, which the Uwatwede also meaning the ladder of death. The ladder of death. There is a Kokwanansi story revolving around the ladder of death, which this story is being told or is being said when someone is being envious, when someone is having anger, when someone is in a situation that when you ask him to stop and he says he will not stop. We tell you this story for you to know that no matter what you do, the end is like you will die. So why don't you live it and be free? Now in the current world that people are fighting, we are killing, we are doing backbiting, we are doing things that we are only thinking of wealth, thinking of amount, gaining wealth, but we are not thinking about ourselves, the well-being of everybody. This story will let you know that no matter the wealth you get, no matter what you make, you will still die one day. And for that matter, there is the need for us to share, there is the need for us to love, there is the need for us to forgive, there is the need for us to be for each other. So I make these pieces that has these stories when exhibited, and it will create the environment for conversations, for us to reflect back how society used to live and how we should live as we move forward. And Niaonim, this is Niaonim, he who does not know. This piece, he who does not know, is a proverb and also is embedded in a story. If you don't know and you ask, you will be taught. Whatever you don't know and you ask, they will teach you. So don't say, I don't know, so you will relax. You ask for you to be taught. And when you are taught, you also know. So these were some basic knowledge we were taught when we were kids, that ask, just ask. Whatever you don't understand, ask. Ask someone you think know or have knowledge about it, and you will be taught. By now, because we are moving into the digital age, it is difficult for people, or in my community, the people to ask now. It is like we want to go to AI or we go online to ask questions. It will give you the right questions, but it wouldn't add the physical experiences. The physical experiences that you have will not be attached to what is written. And I made this work so that we can reflect on how we can still find the importance of humanity and the people around us, especially the old who have gone through life, who has the experience to share with we, the younger ones. I made this also, which is called Inchinchim. Inchinchim is a Ghanaian symbol which talks about life not being straight. We received this proverb embedded in the Kokwanansi story to teach us that life is not straight. There is no way what your dreams are or what your desires are, you will just sleep and go and pick it. What we go through in life is how nature have made it. So whatever state that you are in, you have to embrace it, work towards it, face it, and move on in life. So the symbol is what is just down the spider. That is the Inchinchim symbol, which is embedded in the Anansi stories. So we receive these stories as a way of having wisdom to be prepared on the journey of life. Because people nowadays in Ghana, the young people, they just encounter some hardship or they encounter something in life and people commit suicide. People kill themselves. People feel too depressed that they can't come back to line to have life. But this story will let you know that it is also part of life at some stage. You have to become depressed. You have to become sick. You have to be sad. You have to be happy. All those things are part of life that forms part of our knowledge base in Ghana. And this is Boaminamimboao. Help me and let me help you. This piece, how these stories are being made, we embed these proverbs into it. Boaminamimboao, help me and let me help you. Today, the help or the charity you give today or the things you do today, me as a teacher, the people I'm teaching or the people I've taught, I'm teaching them today because I've had the opportunity to grow before them. By a time is coming, they will also grow and they will transcend it or transfer it to the younger generation. Or those I'm teaching today, one will grow up and that person can be the source of my life. Because we teach doctors today and the doctors will grow and will come and take care of us when we are also grown. So it's like the community is made up of helping someone for the person to help you back. But it is because it is an indirect kind of help, we don't value it. But we teach these things into these Kwakwanansi stories to shape our mind that whatever thing that we do or whatever contribution that we are giving to the community is not in vain. It is a way of helping a community and the community will also give it to us back. Because when we have a nice environment, when we preserve the environment, the resources that we have, the goodness of the environment will bounce back to us. But now in Ghana that we are polluting our water bodies with galamsey and we are putting down our trees because people are ambitious of making money. A time is coming, we will have to maybe export water before we can have good water to drink. I don't know more of the US, but I know the US also has its own challenges. That if we don't help today, tomorrow it will have a big effect on us. And this is Musuyidie, that which removes ill luck. That which removes ill luck. In the stories, we have this also as a storyline that helps us to understand that there are some things that removes ill luck. One, we believe you can perform rites, spiritual rites to remove ill luck. Apart from performing spiritual rites to remove ill luck, we have some basic attitude practice that can also remove ill luck. And these are all composed in a story form to tell us that when you respect, I remember when I was a child in my community, when an elderly is coming from a farm and the person is carrying maybe his or her farm produce, we approach, or you just go and help the person and bring the farm produce to the house for the person. And at times, it created so many opportunities for us. I remember when I was going to school, because of that practices, I had so many luck from these early people. Some will bring you what we call gari. You know, it's like a flour. It's like, it's like a flour that we used to take to school. Some will bring you chocolates and other stuffs, that milk and things that you take to school. And you may not have those luck from the family or the setup you are coming from. But because of your relationship, how you respond or treat people, they can just do those things for you easily. Apart from you going through sacrifices and other stuff to take those ill lucks from you. So all these stories is what I'm trying to put into this. And Shemudia is do not bite a tree, because a tree, we have good trees and we have poisonous trees. This resonates or connect. It's a metaphor for human beings. It is not anybody that you touch, you bite, or you talk about, you hurt or you harm. It is there are some people you harm and you go scot-free, and there are some you harm and your life can come to an end. So these Kokwanansi stories were things that shaped us whilst we were growing up. But currently, me, my daughter, and my kids, and I know their age, they don't have all these stories. And I think making these pieces can create these conversations to remind them of these kind of stories, for them to also have their share or benefits from these stories. Looking at these pieces, you could say I'm trying to use materiality or the materials in this to connect these kind of objects. The materials in these objects, like the clay, wood, cables, and Adinkra symbols, has their meanings individually. The clay symbolizes the earth and origin of the ancestors or of us, because we live after our ancestors. And when our ancestors are buried, they go to the ground. So we believe they form part of the soil we bring back to life. So the clay we use is like bringing back to life our ancestors to form objects that can have life for them to live around us. So the clay I use, in my view, or from what I know, symbolizes earth and also our ancestors. I use jute rope, which serves as a way of connecting our societies through stories. How these jute ropes are being made. Then it wasn't made by machine as it is now. It was made by the hand. You get the jutes, then you twist it into parts, then you join them to form the rope, which wasn't made by one person. It was made collectively, and out of making that jutes, it created a community, a strong community. And I'm using the cables also to talk about the current technology, which is taking away our traditions that used to shape the society, keep our cultural identity, or give us cultural identity, and gave us tradition. That ICT or technology is taking everything. Now you pick your phone and it's TikTok. You pick your phone and it's Instagram. You pick your phone and it's Facebook. It is no more about looking at time to go and meet your friends or your family or your people. And This is Akofena. There is a piece I made some few days ago, Akofena, which is also the same Kweku Anansi story, has the same Kweku Anansi story embedded. Akofena is a double-edged sword, and we relate a double-edged sword to the words that we speak, the words that we speak. So when we communicate or in these stories, we tell you to be mindful of what you speak or the things you say from your mouth, because the things you say from your mouth can give life and also can kill. And I'm making these pieces just to create those conversations around in the contemporary world. In the contemporary world. So looking at African ceramics has revolved through time, through colonialism, and the colonial masters bringing their style into the scene to influence how it was used and how it was being made. But these contemporary artists have been able to hold up to it from some time till now to reimagine or to reconceptualize it into the contemporary world, where the art piece shown has the forms and the shapes that was being made before colonialism. And I'm also recontextualizing the clay into this form or into the Anansi stories to also talk about how our ancestors use wisdom and also experience that they had to manage our society and also to keep us, give us a better life or a better environment for us all to survive. So in conclusion, I aim at preserving and archiving Ghanaian Anansi stories in the digital age through clay, jute rope, metals, threads, and found objects to reawaken oral traditions in textured form. These materials become digital echoes that connect storytellers, weaving ancestral wisdom into contemporary space, ensuring Anansi's web of knowledge remains alive and connected. I think from here, I'll ask after here if anybody has a story that she feels can change the world, can change the environment, or the longer generation coming needs to hear that story. I'll be glad to write those stories down. And the other purpose of the story, Kweku Anansi, is that Kweku Anansi is used as a character to replace people, the original people who had their stories. So we will just get the story and use the Kweku Anansi to reframe the story in a way that we can send it down to generations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's time for questions and comments from the audience or online.
I taught elementary school for a few years, and the children just love the Anansi stories.
Yeah.
They like stories where people are like tricked or outsmarted, you know, and they really, really like those stories.
Yeah, thank you.
I had a question about the role of the wheel or the throne ceramics. You associated that with a transition from ceramics being the role of women to one where men can participate. Could you explore that a little more fully?
Yeah, ceramics itself, like we know in Africa, was only associated to women, the work for women, whilst blacksmithing, woodwork, and other stuff were for men. So when Michael Cardio came in and started teaching the women how to use the potter's wheel, you know, working with big clay, because they didn't use bigger clay because of the coiling method they used to do. But when you come to the pot making on the potter's wheel, you need a little muzzle to do that. And that started, you know, bringing men gradually into the scene, because Michael Cardio himself also was a man. So it was like, oh, men can also do this. And that influence transcended gradually, and men also came on board to support and that is what has led me myself doing ceramics now.
And how has that affected the women who were doing the ceramics?
Okay, I think it hasn't affected the women. It has added some kind of inclusion into what they do. Because I believe when they used to do it alone, there were some things that, because I know in Ghana, when you go to Aferi, where they go to pick the clay, at times they perform some rituals, some stuff, because they believe the earth has some spiritual things. So the women go there to carry the clay home. But when men came in now, carrying of the clay, which is very heavy, most are being done by men. So I think that is more beneficiary for the women to relax a little than at first, where they have to force themselves in carrying all these things. So I think it has been more of a benefit than an effect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? 1 second.
Yeah.
Thank you. I did the opposite. I'm a wood carver,
Oh,
and that's something that women tended not to do.
yeah.
But and I've really loved your spiders and their meaning, but I loved the entanglement and the breadwinner. They were just affected me very much.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, I take stories and carve things out of wood and would burn it and paint it. I had a question on the beginning when you showed some of your first pieces at the beginning, and they had incredibly bright colors.
Yeah.
Is that something that is prevalent in Ghana, or and do you make your colors yourself from things, or I thought they were beautiful.
Yeah. My first piece doesn't have any color. It is just the natural color of the clay. When fired to a temperature, then I maintain the color. It's one, because I want the viewer, or I want to have the feel of the reality of how the thing is, how the clay comes out. I didn't want to interact with, because at times the beauty of how the things are, we cover them with other things and it's gone. Yeah. So that was the intent, but I think I'm exploring on the field, and I'm adding other stuff to see where it goes. Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? Anything online, Mohini? Okay, so let's thank Alex Awuku. And good luck with all of your artwork and ceramics.
Yeah, thank you very much.